Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Wave 2 Voyager class Metalhawk. Let's start off by taking a look at the packaging. So unfortunately, as you can see, the packaging did come a little bit damaged, but don't worry, the figure is just fine. So with the packaging, we have Transformers on the side, a really cool artwork shot of Metalhawk in his jet mode. We have the Legacy Evolution logo, Metalhawk with an Autobot symbol, and open window displaying the figure when it would be in packaging. At the top, there's a QR code, so if you do scan that, it will show his stats. On the side, we have two really cool pieces of artwork of Metalhawk, a close-up of his face, and a really cool battle pose with his sword. On the back, he transforms in 18 steps. There's a product shot of his Evo Fusion gimmick, his robot mode, and jet mode. On the final side, we have half of the Legacy Evolution artwork, so if you do get another Voyager, a Decepticon, you can put both boxes together and complete the Legacy Evolution artwork. That is pretty much it for the packaging, so let's now get into the review. Here we have Metalhawk in his jet mode. Let's start off by taking a look at the details, starting at the very front with the nose cone, mostly done in that dark blue, with some red for the main cockpit section, with some really nice kind of light gray for the intakes, overall looking very cool. I actually kind of like the light gray on this jet mode on this figure because it kind of breaks up all the dark colors of the dark red, the dark blue. For the accessories, that's a bit of a different story. I really do like the huge wing with this kind of laser sticking out on the end. Not sure if that's Blast Beast compatible. Some more of that dark blue for the main body, and the back section here with some more fins done in that red. There's actually several posts here for blaster pieces. You can actually have them blasting off in a battle, which is a pretty cool feature. On the bottom, overall, pretty well cleaned up. Not much kibble sticking out, not much hollow gaps or anything. So overall, a decent looking jet mode in my opinion. So as for accessories, this is where one of the main problems comes in. So a lot of people do not like the gray plastic for the accessories or the figure. That's why I mentioned before. The light gray on this figure really doesn't bother me that much because it actually breaks up all the dark colors. But for the accessories, again, not my favorite. It actually kind of looks unfinished, undone, looks like a prototype. So his first accessory is actually this sword, which design-wise and mold-wise actually looks very cool. Really cool tubing, huge blade, but the color just seems unfinished. It's just this like boring gray plastic. So a bit unfortunate there. I wish it was like in silver or gunmetal gray, or like maybe that red would have been nice. But how this attaches is there is two tabs here, and then there is two slots back there, and that just stores up on top. And I think it's okay storage. I typically do cut a little bit of slack with swords because it's really hard to find a good place and it actually looks good. Like, where are you going to put a sword on a car and it actually looks good? So I cut a little bit of slack with sword accessories. As for his last two, they're identical. There's just these blasters, and they are Blast Beast compatible. I do like the whole fin pieces here, but it would have been nice maybe if they had matched the other back red fin pieces, or maybe they could have done it in the dark blue color or some silver or something, because as it is, it just seems unfinished, like they forgot to paint them. But how they store is there is two tabs here and there is two slots there, and that's how that tabs into place, just like that. And moving to the other side, we can grab the other one, just plug it in the exact same way, and there we have Metalhawk fully armed, overall looking very cool. I just don't like how these are unpainted because these wings look super cool with the dark red. Huge, awesome looking wings, but then we have these back ones that just seem unfinished. It seems like a prototype figure that they forgot to paint some stuff, but other than that, that's really my only critique for this figure. Now for one quick comparison, I do know he is a pretender shell, so I will have several comparisons with Skullgrin, Bombburst, and other figures whenever he is in his robot mode. But for a quick jet mode comparison, here he is with his mold mate Cyclonus. So if you don't know, they are of the same mold. Of course, there's some heavy retooling going on. I'll go into more depth of the similarities and differences whenever they're in their robot modes, because as it is, it's pretty hard to tell any similarities right now. So there is some transformation similarities, which I'll go through, of course, when I'm transforming Metalhawk, but as it is right here, you can barely even tell that there's similarities. They're two completely different jet modes. Of the figure-wise of which one I prefer, I have to say I still prefer Cyclonus just because his accessory is better. Yes, he only comes with one, but at least it's painted, and I just love the jet mode. I cannot get over how much I love Cyclonus' jet mode. Yes, there's that tolerance problem with the gaps there, but I can easily get over that because it's just such a cool, sleek-looking jet mode. But let me know between the two molds of either Metalhawk or Cyclonus, which one do you like in the comment section down below more. But they overall do look very cool. I also have to say the size-wise, both of these jets are actually very big. Cyclonus is a pretty decently sized sleek jet mode, and Metalhawk too. I was actually surprised of the size with him, but that is pretty much it for comparisons and the jet mode. So let's now get down to transformation into the robot mode. Now for transformation, what you're going to do is go to the back of the jet. You can actually split these sections in half, just like that, and then you can unravel the leg, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. You can also untab the arms, and how these were tabbed into place is there is a slot on this side and a tab there, and there's also a slot and a tab right there. Do the same thing on the other arm, just like that, and then you can rotate this entire assembly up just like that. As for the rest of the legs, you can actually disconnect them, and there is a tab and a slot here. Open up this entire compartment right here, flip the foot out, fold this section in, and collapse it up. And this transformation for the legs is actually very similar to Cyclonus's. Of course, do the same thing for the other leg. Just flip that out, fold this in, collapse that up, just like that. Sometimes a bit of trouble. There we go. And as for the top of the body, what you're going to want to do is open up the chest, this entire yellow section right here, and how this is tabbed into places, there is 2 slots and 2 tabs. Do the same thing for the back. So there's this entire back panel, which is very tight on my copy, so just untab that. There we go. And it's the same connection, so there's 2 tabs there and 2 slots there. And then what you're going to do is collapse the nose cone, flip this around so the head is up, and then what you can do is tab this entire section back into place, and then there is tabs on the shoulder and slots right there. So that will just line up like that. Get that in there. Same for the other side. And then this will just tab into place. Sometimes they do come in tabbed with the arms, tab that into place. As for the rest of the figure, there is a hinge at the wing. This is just going to hinge to the back of the arm like that. And do the same thing for the other wing, like that. And then you can flip the hand out, and let me just reposition Metalhawk so he's standing straight. Just get him in a neutral pose. There we have Metalhawk in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details. So here we have Metalhawk in his robot mode. Let's start off by taking a look at the details, starting at the very top with a head sculpt, a really nice silver for the face, some metallic blue for the eyes, and some yellow for the main helmet section. I actually really do like these kind of thin antenna earpieces there. That actually looks very cool. And I do like the wings sticking out of the shoulders. That looks really nice with the dark red and these huge kind of cannon booster sections sticking out. That's pretty cool. So you can imagine him flying. Some blue for the shoulders and form, really like that, and some of that cheap light gray plastic for the hands and bicep. Not really liking that. Some yellow for the entire stomach and chest region, really well detailed in my opinion. Really classic out of it symbol right there. And some little red details as well. As for the top of the legs, again, that kind of boring gray plastic, not really liking that. But I do like the knees, really cool spikes in red with some silver and that dark blue, and some red for the feet. I actually do quite like that. And turning to the back, you have to know that this is definitely part of the Cyclonus mold because the back is completely clean. There's no kibble. There is a bit of hollowness in the back of the legs right there, but that really doesn't bother me. So this is definitely a part of the Cyclonus mold that looks very clean, really well compact, and not much kibble at all. And we do have the back fins, which actually look pretty cool in my opinion. As for course articulation, the head can look down. Unfortunately, it cannot look up at all, side to side. As for course, the arm, it can move out and in, forward and back. There is a bicep rotation, but unfortunately it is slightly hindered due to the wing and this whole kibble section here. This is actually a slot, of course, corresponding to a tab in the jet mode, so it is important that it's there. Just unfortunately, it does slightly hinder the articulation for the bicep. There is a full functioning elbow bend. There is also a wrist rotation, a very tight one on my copy. There is also, if we move the arms out of the way, there is a waist rotation. The leg can kick forward, back, out to the side. There is a swivel, and there is a knee bend. So this is one complaint many people have had, myself included, is there's this huge open gap whenever you bend the knee. That's really due to transformation because you fold this entire section here inside this section, a part of the jet mode. So there is a purpose for it. It just would have been nice maybe if there was like a panel to cover this, or maybe if there was a tab in this section, so whenever you would bend the knee, it would stay with it and not have this huge open gap. But there's really nothing you can do about that because this complaint I'm having here is the exact same one I had with Cyclonus. There is a really good ankle pivots. There is also a hinge forward and back with the foot. Now let me just straighten him up a tad bit so we can move on to his accessories real quick. Let me just straighten him up. There we go. make him look presentable. As for, of course, accessories, I briefly covered them in his jet mode. He does come with one sword, and again, just not like in that kind of prototype, cheap, unfinished plastic, and there's more visible in this mode than the jet mode. There's some at the biceps, the hands, the top of the legs. I'd say probably my biggest area that I don't like it besides the accessories is these sections by the head, because they're like intakes a part of the jet mode, and in that mode I think it looks okay, but for this mode it looks bad. It would have been nice if it was like silver to like match the face, but that's just my opinion. As for storage, there is two ways you can have him hold in his hands, but the second way is actually storing on the back. I actually really do like it when Hasbro you can store either guns or swords. It's pretty cool. So you can have it angled or just straight down. I actually like to have it angled. That looks pretty cool. So just have it like that. I think that looks really nice in my opinion. But of course it's a sword, so you have to have him hold it. So I'm going to plug it in his hand. The typical, you know, peg and port system. You can have him wielding it like that. I think that looks very nice. As for the last two, it's those identical blasters I showed before, which the Evo Fusion gimmick is you can actually combine them. So how it works is there's tabs on each side, and of course there's slots corresponding to those tabs, and you just plug it into place like that, and there's two posts. You can use either one, really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to plug it into his hand, and there we have the fully weaponized Metalhawk, which looks pretty cool. I do like the accessories. I just can't get over the fact of the color of them. It would have been really nice if the sword was done out like a really cool silver color, and the blaster is done out like a gunmetal gray, and maybe some dark blue for like the fin pieces, or some red. Really, honestly, any color would have been better than how it is now. But as for one quick mold comparison, here he is with Cyclonus, overall looking really cool next to each other. So similarity wise, the shoulders is the exact same sculpt, I'm pretty sure, and the hand is also, I'm pretty sure, the exact same sculpt. As you can see, the top of the legs here are also the exact same, and the feet, I'm pretty sure, are also the exact same. If we do look at the back of the figure, the back of the legs here, as you can see, the entire tab section here is very similar, of course, minus the fins sticking out. But other than that, I'm pretty sure everything is completely different. Of course, the head sculpt, the accessories, the chest, you know, the forearm, everything is quite different. Again, there is some similarities, but overall a very different figure side by side. But that is pretty much it for a mold comparison. I still have to say I like Cyclonus more, just the accessories are better, and I just love that jet mode. Let's now get down to a few pretender comparisons. So here he is with Bombburst, our most recent one, I'm pretty sure. And here he is with Core Class Iguanus, still to this day my favorite Core Class figure yet. And for one final comparison, here he is with the Deluxe Class Skullgrin, probably one of my favorite Deluxe Class figures they've made. Just an amazing figure. So they've made a Pretender figure in every class size except a Leader, of course, unless you're including Commander class, but I don't think we're going to get one that size. So maybe the next Pretender we'll get, maybe it will be in a Leader class size figure. I would be perfectly fine with that. I know there has been a complaint. Some people have been wanting their Pretenders just to stay to one class size. And at the beginning, when these first came out, you know, when we first got Iguanus, I kind of thought the same way. But as it's moved on, I really don't care, because we got Skullgrin, and I'm actually really glad he was a Deluxe class. I would have been kind of disappointed if he was a Core class, because he is such an amazing figure at this size. And I wouldn't mind if they did something kind of like that they're doing with the Dinobots. You know, they're making Core class Dinobots, but they're also making Leader class Dinobots and the Studio Series line. So maybe we'll see a Core class size version of Skullgrin, and the same with Metalhawk. Maybe we'll see a Core class size of Metalhawk. We really don't know. But I thought maybe it'll happen. But that is pretty much it for the comparisons. So let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Wave 2 Voyager class Metalhawk. I overall really do like this figure. Starting in the jet mode, I actually just like the sheer size of the jet mode. I was so surprised when I transformed it. I was like, this is crazy. This is a Voyager class figure. Overall, the design of the wings, really like the red and the huge kind of cannon sticking at the ends, and the little red fins sticking in the back. And I also really do like the dark blue. So there is a lot of talk going on about the accessories with this figure and the light gray plastic. A lot of people really don't like it. And I do agree. I do not like the light gray with the accessories. That being said, in the jet mode, I actually think it works specifically to the jet mode, because it does break up the colors. Would I have preferred it to be silver? Absolutely. But as it is, it does not bother me as much as it does with the accessories or the Robo mode, because, you know, all the other colors in the jet mode are the dark red, dark blue, so I think it works fine. And again, I would have preferred silver. As for the rest of the jet mode, it looks super cool, nice cockpits. You can store all the accessories on there, and I'd say it's probably my biggest complaint with this figure. Unfortunately, it does come with 3 accessories, which is a good amount for a Voyager figure. I mean, Cyclonus, the original version of this mold, he only came with 1, just 1. This one comes with 3, but the design is good, but of course the paint apps, that's where it falls short. So he does come with a really cool sword. He does come with 2 pistols, and his Evo Fusion gimmick, because you can combine them both. Again, I do like the design of the sword and the blasters. They look pretty cool, but they're done in this kind of cheap gray plastic color, and I really don't know why they did it, because it seems unfinished. It seems like a prototype and they forgot to paint it, so that's a bit unfortunate in that aspect. As for transformation, it is actually very similar to Cyclonus, especially where the legs are concerned, and the arms are pretty similar as well. So if you have had Cyclonus before, and if you transform it before, I would say you really only need the instructions like once, and you got it down pretty easy. There's a few changes in steps where like the wings and the chest is concerned, but overall it is pretty similar to Cyclonus. As for, of course, the robot mode, the accessories, again, can store in his hand. You can actually store the sword on his back, which I always love when you can do that, and the really big wings sticking out of the shoulders is pretty cool. But the light gray has also become a problem in this mode too. So I really don't like how there's some light gray at the biceps, there's some at the hands, there's some at these huge intake sections here near his head. It would have been nice if those had been done in like silver, and there's some more at the top of the legs. I'd say probably it really doesn't bother me that with the top of the legs, but especially where the hands, the biceps, and those intake sections are, that bothers me probably the most. And that is pretty much it for my problems. I like the design of the head, really cool designs on the chest. There's actually some unsymmetrical designs with the stomach region. It's not completely symmetrical all the way down, which is pretty cool. I also really do like the huge kind of armor spike pieces sticking out of the knees. That's pretty cool as well. And this is obviously definitely a retool, repaint of Cyclonus when you look at the back, because it's so clean. There's no kibble, no empty gaps. It's so well compact and put away. I have to say, it did a really good job with this figure and Cyclonus. I'd say with articulation, it is overall pretty good. The one thing that kind of does ruin the cohesive look of this figure is whenever you bend the knee, because there's a huge open gap inside the leg. It's really due to transformation. That was the same problem I had with Cyclonus. You hinge the entire leg inside this section here, so there's a huge gap there. It would have been nice if they could have put like a panel, or if they could have tabbed the leg to that knee pad, so whenever you bend the knee, they all stay as one piece and you don't see that huge gap. That is really my only complaint for articulation. Everything else is pretty good, really good ankle pivot. There's a wrist rotation, bicep rotation. It is slightly hindered by a tab or a little bit of kibble there, but that really doesn't bother me that much. So other than that, it's a pretty good figure. And yes, there is some light gray plastic. I can easily overlook that. Yes, I would have preferred it to be a different color. It doesn't ruin the figure. And again, I still have to say the Cyclonus version of this mold is better, but I still recommend getting this figure. Let me know your thoughts on this figure in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time.